Well, I'm delighted today to be speaking to Adam Davies, who's a founder and tailor at Adam James Bespoke. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you.
So, Adam, we're going to talk today about the company that you set up, why you did it, and also some of the latest trends from menswear.
Yep.
But first of all, before we get into all of that, it'd be great to hear a little bit more about your background and your passion for tailoring.
Yeah. So I originally set up Adam James because I saw a bit of a gap in the market as to what I do. I used to work in a shop, within a shop essentially, and I started building a reputation on myself, and I gradually started building a client list. And what I loved most about it is they were buying with me and not the brand. I saw, clients traveling in, and it just got me excited that I was seeing clients that travel in from all over the world for me. And we used to just have a one-to-one appointment, and they would buy a couple of suits, a couple of shirts, whatever they came in for. But what I loved most is it was very word of mouth. So I was given a very personal experience to those guys. They would go to their friends or colleagues to be like, you need to go and see Adam. And that's how I started on my own, because I saw the opportunity was there. I saw a gap in the market for those who were time poor. Because I was stuck in a shop, I was unable to go to them. And that's when I realized there was an opportunity for me to go and do office visits or home visits. Clients kind of appreciated me a bit more because I was going to them rather than having to travel into the West End to see me.
Because these time poor clients were still spending a good amount of money, weren't they? So they had the budget for good tailoring, but they weren't actually getting the product.
Time poor, cash rich is exactly what they are, because they want to buy suits. They want that experience. But sadly, when meetings overrun, they just don't have the time to travel up. And sometimes it's not ideal because it's such a big gap in their day for them to travel up to town, have the appointment, and then have to travel back. Sometimes I'll just have you got 15 minutes for just to me to have a quick look at some materials? And that's what I like, because then they would tell their partners, for example, that, Adam can see you in this short space of time.
And for the international customer, very different in nature to the city customer. But do you find that the brand of London and the services that are available here appeal and have an international currency, if you like?
Exactly. I mean, with London being the capital of fashion, for example, you've got so many different brands here. You've got, especially in Mayfair, you've got, luxury retail, you've got, tailors, shirt makers, there's everything within central London. But they would often come in for that experience. Some people prefer going to a shop, some people just prefer one-to-one. And just having that time with me makes it really important to them, especially if you're traveling in. You want to make sure that you've got an appointment booked in. You don't want to just go into a shop and not get served by anyone. But those who are traveling in from overseas, they much prefer a really personal one-to-one appointment.
But within that overseas customer, there's different styles and preferences. I mean, the US customer can have different tastes, obviously, to
absolutely.
others.
So what I would always find is those traveling in from New York would always want a conservative suit to match their sort of lifestyle in the US. But I'd always find those who work in much hotter climates, for those in the Middle East, would always go for more softer tailoring, more deconstructed jackets, deconstructed styles, a much more lighter weight suit in. Those who travel from here to a different country would always want a suit that they can wear on the aeroplane, that they wouldn't feel too stuffy, that they can just throw on and throw in the overhead. But when they put it back on, it's very crease resistant, so it wouldn't show.
So, I mean, just looking at, you touched on a few different types of clients, but I guess like the city professional is still a sort of cornerstone client that wants to look smart.
So a lot of clients that come in are young aspiring business leaders that are looking to progress in their careers. So I would always say younger guys sort of my age would come in and want a suit that's stand out-ish, but not too like in your face. So I would say something with a pattern in, maybe a cool design on the inside to bring out a bit of personality.
So for those seeking to impress, I mean, and they're interested in getting a bespoke suit, what are some of the options they might do? How might you help them understand what are some of the different stylistic things they might incorporate into a fantastic suit?
A lot of clients that come in are quite overwhelmed by the options. because
Yeah.
you can have anything. It's bespoke at the end of the day. You can have whatever you like, you know, from lapels to pockets to pleats, you know, there's so much to choose from. But there needs to be a level of guidance where what's acceptable at the office to what's not. So I would normally say for a guy who's coming in for a typical business suit to maybe go for something plain on the outside but bring out a bit of character on the inside, so more fancy lining. You know, we can do similar sort of touches to what you've got in your jacket, where you can have, you know, little details in the buttonholes and the lapel holes. You know, we can do some embroidery on the inside, so you can have your initials to make it really personal.
And it's a good signal, isn't it, to others that it's bespoke when it's initialed. It's one of those identifiers, isn't it?
I have some clients who like to go incognito and won't have anything. They won't even have my label in the inside because they want to keep me as a bit of a secret. So they tend to go into the office with no labels, but it's kind of them knowing that they've got a garment made for them to make them feel special. But as I said, it's a bit of a hidden secret, not knowing where your suit's been made. So there's a bit of a one-upmanship on looking the sharpest in the office. And
what do you think is like the essential parts of a wardrobe, like between, like, you know, lighter stuff for summer, your overcoats? What's your sort of A to Z if you were trying to build up an ideal?
So if you were a first-time buyer, I would always recommend you go for either a navy and a grey to start off.
Yeah,
and then
as a classic building block.
Yeah, because you don't want to have something really bold, because you got to remember you want to wear it as much as you can, but in a way that it's not going to be too recognised. Someone will always notice if you've got like a really loud check on. They'll be like, well, you've worn that a couple of times. But if you've got a plain suit, you can wear that over and over with a second pair of trousers to rotate. I would then always recommend you going for like a sports jacket for like your dress down Fridays. Then build from there: overcoats, black tie, linen suits for summertime. You want to be able to know how it feels having a suit made for you first time round. So I would make you feel comfortable, you know, let you choose something that you like, and then try and make you come out of your comfort zone a little bit, and we can try some from different styles. So that's tends to what happens with a lot of my clients. They'll come in by a grey or a navy blue, and then they start coming out of their comfort zone, because now they're starting to understand it and they're starting to feel a lot more comfortable. It's a long-term goal with me rather than a short transactional visit.
And a lighter suit for someone who either travels frequently to warmer climes or lives there. I mean, that comes down to the fabric. And I mean, what makes a suit easier to wear in hot climes?
So in terms of wool, there's different weights. So you've got your lightweights, which is about 7 to 8 ounces. Then you've got your, what I call 4-season suit, which is sort of 9 to about 12 ounce. That you can wear throughout the year. And then you've got your heavyweights then, which, you know, are more for winter and sort of your overcoating fabrics. For light summer, I would always recommend a lightweight travel fabric that doesn't crease well, so you can carry it on a plane, you can bunch it up and it would not crease. For me, the best sort of summer tailoring, soft tailoring, because you lose sort of the canvas or on the inside, and you take a few layers out of the shoulder pad, and sometimes you would deconstruct the jacket, so you'd have no lining at all, so the jacket breathes much better in hotter climates.
And do you pair up with a shoemaker or someone else who's also provide, you know, like the shoes alongside the suit is a...
Not necessarily, because I find everyone's got their own certain style.
Yeah.
I always find with shoes, for me, I wear a certain brand because they fit me perfectly well. Some brands are too hard, so they sadly give me blisters. So I know my shoemaker. So I would give clients a couple of shoemakers for them to go and try on different shoes. But in terms of partnerships, it's not something because each is sort of each to their own in terms of shoes.
For customers who are going into designer shops around this part of London, spending money on off-the-peg suits with brand names, what's the difference between... They might be spending a lot of money in those shops. What's the difference between coming here and getting something bespoke?
Some people prefer brands because of brand names, of course, but I don't think you get the same level of experience as you would in a one-to-one basis. You know, I've worked in shops where, you know, I could be in a fitting and then someone's come in to see me and they've had to wait round. I work on a strictly appointment only basis, which means you're coming in at the time that you've chosen to see me and me only. A lot of guys prefer that one-to-one relationship.
So how do you deal with the clients? WhatsApp, text, email?
For those who inquire through the website, yes, I'll get an email come through, but then I would like to set up a call just to introduce myself and my services. For those who already know me and I have that relationship with, I much prefer it at a more personal level. So I would prefer them to WhatsApp me or call me.
Do you send them ideas as well? Do you see stuff and then flip them
absolutely.
on WhatsApp? It's built for that, isn't it?
So those who trust me already, I know their style. So if I have new collections come in, I kind of can put fabrics to a client straight away. So I would, for example, select a couple of options and when they come in, I can say, look, I've picked these out for you already.
Yeah, quick snap and message.
But a lot of clients prefer that because they don't have the time to go through every individual bunch. So I've got one client who I know will only wear pinstripes. So I would, when my new collections come in, shortlist a couple of pinstripe options for him. And he goes, yes. And then, we get the ball rolling straight away. But yes, I prefer people sending me ideas or I can send them ideas. But for me, it's a much more personal way of communicating with a client.
And typically, how much is a client spending with you on an annual basis? What's an average client?
So anything between 5,000 to 10,000 a year, typically. So they'd come in and they would buy their winter items, but we would sort of plan that around summertime. So I would say to them, have you got any events coming up this winter? And they would often say, yes, I've got like a dinner. So they'd come in, tuxedo, smoking jackets, overcoats, tweed jackets, and then, your more winter suiting. Summertime, your linens, your bamboo jackets, anything to be able to travel overseas on holiday with. So more casual stuff for summer.
So you've got a very different look from your traditional tailor. Do you position your offering as something different from the very traditional services that people might get elsewhere?
Tailoring does have a reputation for feeling quite stuffy, and for first-time clients, it can be quite overwhelming going into a big store. I offer a much more relaxed atmosphere here. Yes, okay, I've got my hands tattooed, but I'm very true to myself. I like how I'm able to dress very smartly and still have this core of tattoos and a beard. Yes, I can't say I relate too much to other tailors, but I like the fact that I can be true to myself because then it kind of relates to clients who want to feel it more in a relaxed atmosphere.
It's an authentic approach for your clients to connect with and really build a relationship with you over a long period.
Yeah. And I like the fact that, I offer myself to a much broader audience then. You can see on my social medias that it's me in the images and not, paid models. I try to make it as real as possible for my clients.
Do you travel out and see people at home at their office? What or do they come to see you here as part of the experience? Or what is there any trends in what you find?
So I would say my business split in two. Yes, I've got very time poor clients that sometimes have half hour in their day, and that journey uptown would take all that time up. So a lot of them are quite welcoming for me to go and visit them at their office. Those who work at home as well. So sometimes on weekends, I'd go and visit people for fittings at their homes. But for those who want an experience, they can come and visit me at this or other private studios that are based across the West End.
How do you think the pandemic has changed people's attitude to menswear, to dressing well? What we've been through this extraordinary time.
Post-pandemic, it's the busiest I've been since setting up Adam James. We've had a setting up process, and then we went through a few months of starting out, and then we went into a pandemic. So when we came out of that, I saw a lot of clients, obviously myself included, had put on weight. So going back to the office and not having any suits that fit, it was kind of guys coming in and being like, I need a couple of suits made. But it wasn't seasonal. It wasn't like a trend. It was like, I need this made now. And it's only in recent months where I've actually seen people coming in for more seasonal items. So post-pandemic was almost like an urgency of suits that fit. And yes, that's what a case was with me, I've got a fine collection of suits at home, but only a certain amount fitted me. So it was a struggle for us all. But yeah, sort of coming out was, wedding season started again after like 2 years off. So it was like guys were coming in, getting their wedding suit sorted, guys coming in for their business suits. And then the start of this year was, okay, I need summer stuff now, or this winter has been, I need overcoats, I need black tie. So it's got back into a normal life, but post-pandemic was like almost like a level of panic. It settled down, and then we've gone back into our seasonal trends.
And what do your clients say about how dressing well makes them feel and helps them perform in their job?
A lot of guys who have already made it and are business leaders still want to represent themselves in front of clients. So I always get it of guys that want to dress sharply at the office or want to represent themselves. Those who are starting out their own business. There's a level of confidence in dressing smart, especially at the office, showing off in front of your colleagues that you want to be the best dressed in the office. And
people notice, don't they? When someone's dressed in a sharp suit, they notice, and they will often say,
yeah.
I mean, I worked in banking many years ago, and that was something that if you had a smart suit on, you definitely felt $1 million.
100%. And I've noticed, I've been in the city for years, and I've noticed the standard has dropped.
Yeah.
Completely from the younger stuff, especially from people not polishing their shoes or wearing suits that don't fit, or even basics of not ironing your shirt, They might not pick up on it, but your peers will. So I always find you dressing as the best version of yourself, especially at the office.
And how do you think retail is changing? I mean, with the pandemic, a lot of habits have changed, haven't they? I mean, you deliver your service wherever your clients want it, so you're not contingent on that. But how do you see retail and fashion generally adapting to these new kind of consumer trends, if you like?
From a men's tailoring perspective, I think companies have gone more down a casual route. So I think off the peg suiting has sort of changed slightly, but in terms of tailoring for us, has just stayed the same. From sort of your high-end luxury retailers, they've gone down a more casual route, so more blazers, safari jackets, things like that. But for us, that's good, because now we're picking up more clients who are starting to understand it, and two, it's more of a sustainable thing as well, because when I always find you buy cheap, you buy twice. So for those who would buy an off-the-peg suit and gain weight, for example, there's no inlay to let those suits out. With tailoring, there's like a 3-inch tolerance that you can let the jacket out by, or you can take it in by. So there's a lot of room. So regardless of how much weight you gain, there is still fabric on the inside to let it out. So coming out of a pandemic where you have gained weight, you are able to let the suits out.
So when clients walk away with their fully tailored suit, I mean, what kind of feeling do you sense that gives them?
Well, that's kind of why I love what I do, because the reactions that I get from guys trying on their suit for the first time, it makes them feel powerful, and it gives them that element of confidence as well. They get excited, and it's almost like they can't wait for their next suit. And I don't think you get that emotion when you go into a shop and you buy something off the peg, you're just putting it on and you're buying it for the sake of buying it. But when you're buying luxury, you really appreciate, one, the craftsmanship, and two, the fit and the style, because it's made for you, and it's really personal. And I think it's great for me to see that reaction from people, because it makes me feel great about what I do as well.
So how do you market yourself to new clients?
So I need to be very careful, because I'm not a retailer. So what I try to do is bring out, relatable stories within client reviews. Yes, okay, Google reviews are good, but I think when you have a strong client story that you can share, through your social media pages, that's when it's relatable to other people. So, for example, I offer a vegan tailoring service. And that came about with a client who went to a tailor's, and essentially they laughed in his face because it wasn't something they did. So when he came to me, we discussed what options he had, and I did a bit of research on it, and I was able to create a full vegan suit. So what we did was we used a cotton viscose canvas, which is in the inside. We replaced that with what the traditional mohair canvas is. We used a cotton material, that had a twist in the weave. So it was used for vegan business suiting. So it had that natural stretch and that sort of full seasonal feel about it, so you could wear it throughout the year. But he was shocked that we were able to do it. And that's kind of where these stories come in, and they really helped me expand to a wider audience.
Well, have you got something you could show me?
Absolutely. So this is a two-piece suit using bamboo material. So as you can see, it just looks like a traditional wool suit. But if you actually feel it, it's got that sort of silky,
soft.
Yeah, super soft. So this is you know very good for sort of hotter climates. But in terms of vegan tailoring, you can create a two-piece suit for business, and it looks just like a wool suit.
It just took that bit of effort, research, and execution.
Well, it was always available, but it's how you execute it in a way. You know, you if you're going to do a vegan suit, you have to do a full vegan suit. You can't just, because some brands offer vegan materials, but they still use silk in the buttonholes, and they still use the horsehair canvas. So you had to take it apart and do your research, and then work out what you really need to create a superb or vegan suit. Yeah, exactly.